All right, so let's have a discussion about this whole 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship issue that we're having in this country. As we know, Donald Trump is deporting lots of people back to their home countries. Right now, he's going after criminals, right? Hard, like felonious criminals, he's rounding up. That's already on the deportation list. It's already. But because local government does not want to help the federal government due to like sanctuary city laws and all that kind of stuff. And that's a big thing that needs to be understood. Like federal law, state and local laws, how they sometimes clash with each other. And then it's up to like a judge to figure out which law over supersede, but the federal law supersedes the local law. It's just that the local people don't have to enforce it. They don't have to help. So but which is crazy because when you got people that you know are felons, you would think that the local law would try to help the federal law to make sure make sure the law is carried out. So now you got these Democrats, sanctuary city politicians upset, up in arms, saying that people who have been here 30 years are being deported. But it's like, dude, you've been here 30 years. Why haven't you gotten your paperwork done? You had a president who was here for 4 years who opened the floodgates. And I know you wasn't too happy about that. Why didn't you get your paperwork done then? There was one woman who said that her brother, her cousin got deported. He was here for 30 years and served in the military. Why didn't you get your paperwork done? That's a him problem. That's not a us problem. But anyway, back to the story, back to the subject. So, like I say, it's a big issue um, about the deportation. They're upset, but again, you had a president here. If they would have, let's say this, Pritzker and Chicken Hawk Johnson, if they would have just said, okay, Joe Biden screwed up. All right, this is what we're gonna do. If we find illegal immigrants who are felons, charges of like deletion and essaying and assaulting and stuff like that, we'll hold them and we'll give them to the federal government. That'll put less eyes on the people who have been here for years, who are work, trying to become citizens or what have you, and give them time to get their paperwork in order before hopefully ICE comes and get them. So what's happening is since the local politicians don't want to help the feds at all, feds going after these felons, and oops, unfortunately, your family members here. Do you have a green card? Do you have a red paper or whatever it is that do you have a paper that says that you are legally you had a legal right to be here? If not, you got to go too. All this could have been avoided. So you gotta always see the thing about that we're used to in this country for some reason is we're used to it's like the healthcare, like masking the symptoms. Like if somebody has high blood pressure, what do we do? First thing they want to do is give you a pill to help lower your blood pressure temporarily. And then you take this pill 2, 3, 4 times a day for the rest of your life. Instead of saying, hey, what causes high blood pressure? And how can we cure it so it won't happen again? So when people say, hey, you need to exercise, you need to eat differently, we need to stop, we need to stop selling certain foods that help increase, or stop promoting foods that help increase your blood pressure, help increase your blood sugar, because sometimes you got to save grown folks from themselves. And let's just try to cure it so you have a better life and got to take these pills all the time. That's the kind of society we got. We want to blame Trump, want to blame ICE, want to blame Tom Homan, but no, you got to start the blame from where you got to fix it from the beginning. And that's your former president Joe Biden letting a lot of people in, and it just opened the floodgates. But anyway, enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into this 14th Amendment thing. Now, President Donald Trump said himself, and shout out to YouTuber Big Mac. It's funny because I want to give Tariq Nasheed the credit because his video popped up on my feed about that Donald Trump said that 14th Amendment was for former slaves. So, I YouTubed it, try to look it up, and on my laptop, and this video did not pop up at all. Not at all. Nowhere on the first couple of pages. So I was on my phone and was scrolling, and it like popped up on my phone, but it wouldn't pop up on my laptop. So I just emailed it to myself and opened it up on my laptop, which is weird, which is strange. Kind of makes you want to know, kind of make you wonder if this is being suppressed from everybody from watching. But anyway, this is Donald Trump himself. We're gonna go to a couple of videos. We're gonna do, we're gonna educate today. Today is about education on this video here. But this is Donald Trump saying exactly from his understanding of what the 14th Amendment was for. Let's hit it.
We are fighting hard to get birthright citizenship or automatic citizenship for the children of illegal aliens. That's another way. It's automatic citizenship for children of illegal aliens. That's the other term that they use, which is actually more accurate, more understandable. And it's ridiculous. We're the only country that has it, and certainly the only country that has it to that extent. And it wasn't meant, if you look, it was really meant for children of slaves. This is when it happened. The children of slaves, it was not meant for, if you look, it was really meant for children of slaves. This is when it happened. The children of slaves, it was not meant for everyone to come into our country by airplane or charging across the borders from all over the world. And if you look, it was really meant for children of slaves. This is when it happened. The children of slaves, it was not meant for everyone to come into our country by airplane or charging across the borders from all over the world and think they're going to become citizens. It's not meant for that. It wasn't meant for that. And hopefully at some point the courts will understand that without having to go through a whole big deal. This was meant for the children of slaves. And look at the timing of it and you'll see. And I hope judges will understand that. And it has to stop because it's really hurting our country very bad.
So you hear your president, or this time future president, telling you that the 14th Amendment was for the children of slaves. Now, what happened back then? Why would the 14th Amendment need to be, implemented into the Constitution? Now, remember, any amendments put into the Constitution has to be approved by 2/3 of Congress. Remember that the president can't do it by himself. The judicial branch can't do it by themselves. The Senate and the House, they can't do it by themselves. It has to be 2/3. So it has to be like a bipartisan bill, as they would call it, in order for this to be put into the Constitution. So we're gonna go to another video real quick, and we're gonna let this lady here, not this lady here, close your mouth, child. We're gonna let this report kind of expand on it a little bit further.
President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship is on temporary hold after a federal judge last week called it blatantly unconstitutional. Birthright citizenship derives from Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, which reads in part, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Vice President J.
Hold on. She read part of it, but let's read the whole thing right quick, okay? Real quick. Because, hey, like I said, I got a constitutional reader. Get you one of these. Again, I stress this all the time. You need to learn law, taxes, finances, because those are the things that dictate your life, especially in this country. If you don't understand law and you don't understand taxes, let's say if you don't understand taxes, you'll be paying taxes. Then you'll be crying about rich people not paying taxes and why you paying so many taxes. I've already told you about that in previous video. What was this? What's this book? Is this The Whiteness of Wealth? Yeah, like this book here, The Whiteness of Wealth. Go get that. I mean, this is just starters. I mean, seriously, but this thing to help you start, to get you in the door, let you understand what's really going on, so you can see the changes you can make in your life to make your life better economically, financially, whatever you want to call it. So if you don't understand the law, you don't understand taxes, you don't understand finances, you're gonna forever be in the lower class, you're gonna forever be poor and in poverty. Forever. And when I say forever, I mean you, your kids, your grandkids, generations to come. Somebody has to take the initiative to learn and implement and teach the masses about hell, the country you live in. But anyway, 14th Amendment, that's section 1. She says all persons born and naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. So basically, if you're born here, you're a citizen here. The problem is you got people who take advantage of that. They somehow they come in on vacation. I mean, this is documented proof. Or people come across that border, 6-7 months pregnant, hired out, whatever, for a little while, have a baby here. Now that child's a citizen. Now they can go back. Now they can either be an anchor baby, and they say, "Well, my child is a citizen, so I can't leave my child." And everybody like, I guess, and they leave them alone, or they take their child, go back to their home country, knowing that if anything pops off, they got a child that's a citizen here. If need be, their child can get rights and privileges of a U.S. citizen because they were born here. Well, anyway, no state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of the law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. So basically it's saying you don't have to be a citizen as long as you're in this country. You got protection of the law if you're law abiding. If you follow the law, you got protection of the law. So no one can take that from you. Okay, but let's continue.
J.D. Vance defended the executive order on Face the Nation.
If you come here on vacation and you have a baby in an American hospital, that baby doesn't become an American citizen. If you're an illegal alien and you come here temporarily, hopefully, your child does not become an American citizen by virtue of just having been born on American soil.
Amanda Frost joins me now. She's a professor at the University of Virginia School of Law, director of the school's Immigration, Migration, and Human Rights program. Thank you for being here. Can you take us back? What was the intention behind passing the 14th Amendment, specifically this part about birthright citizenship?
Yeah, the goals were very clear of the Reconstruction Congress and the nation. This was shortly after the Civil War, and Congress's first goal was to overrule the infamous Dred Scott decision, in which the Supreme Court held that no Black person, whether they were free or slave, could ever be a U.S. citizen.
So let's look at this real quick, because I heard what she said. She said no Black person will ever be a U.S. citizen. So let's Google. There's AI. Let's Google some AI information, something that anybody can do. That's why I never understand, especially now when people get in an uproar of certain things that they hear, but yet they haven't did the research themselves. So they just go by what somebody else say, and anybody can tell you anything. So we'll look at this, and it said this is the explain the Dred Scott decision. And it says the Dred Scott decision delivered by the U.S. Supreme Court in 1857. Understand that date now, right? That's 1857. Ruled that enslaved African Americans, including Dred Scott, were not considered citizens of the United States and therefore could not sue in federal court. It also declared that Congress lacked the power to prohibit slavery in the territories, essentially invalidating the Missouri Compromise and significantly heightened tension between free and slave states, pushing the nation closer to the Civil War. Now, let's see. Now, the Missouri, let's see. Key points about the Dred Scott decision. Central figure, Dred Scott, an enslaved man, sued for his freedom, claiming that living in a free territory had made him free. Listen, now hold on. Let's see. Let's go over here real quick. Free territories back then were New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. So had slavery considered during the Compromise of 1850. The question of slavery in these territories was left undecided until they applied for statehood. So basically, they could have had slaves if they wanted to, but if they wanted to, but once they decide they wanted to become states, then they had to get to decide if they was like a North or the South. So the South actually tried to expand slavery to these territories before they became states, in order to, have like a chokehold on the country. So the Compromise 1850 was a bill presented by Henry Clay that defined the territories of New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and Utah. The bill left the question of slavery in these territories undecided until they applied for statehood. The Compromise of 1850 also abolished the slave trade in Washington, D.C., but slavery was still permitted in the nation's capital. Slave trade in Washington, D.C., okay, but slavery, you couldn't trade them up, but you still have slaves. D.C. is now the state. Again, laws, who supersedes what, federal, local, state laws. The U.S. expanded into new Western territories, and the southern states tried to extend slavery to them. See, the expansion of slavery into these new territories led to major political crises and compromises. So basically, they were not owned or controlled by nobody. They was just part of the U.S. U.S. said, hey, these are new territories, and we'll see what we're going to do with them. Impact on slavery. Court ruling. The Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice Roger Taney, ruled against Scott, stating that enslaved people were property and not citizens. Therefore, they could not sue in federal court. The decision essentially upheld the legality of slavery in the U.S. territories, effectively declaring that Congress could not regulate slavery in new states. But they weren't states yet. But once they couldn't regulate it, because once they got slaves, legalized slavery in these territories, and then they become states, nothing you can do about it. The ruling was seen as undermining the Missouri Compromise, a previous attempt to balance free and slave states. While this decision was controversial, the decision deeply angered many Northerners who opposed slavery, didn't oppose racism, though. Further dividing the nation along sectional lines, it established a harmful legal precedent that denied basic rights to African Americans, both enslaved and free. And you got to remember, the Civil War was the Civil War was fought not necessarily because of slavery. It was because the South was trying to secede from the North. The Confederates trying to secede from the Union states to do their own thing, because pretty much the South was financing the whole country with slavery, but the North was benefiting from it. But the North had the nerve to try to control the purse strings, try to control the people who was making the money. And it was like, nah, that's not going to work. So they was talking about seceding. And Abraham Lincoln was like, man, if I could keep slavery, I would, but it's going to destroy the nation. And we can't have that. So we're going to have to have this civil war. And the North won because the South pretty much ran out of supplies, ran out of soldiers. A lot of the slaves ran to the North to help fight left the plantations, ran up north to help fight for the Union, and that's what ultimately caused the South to lose. Because if that didn't happen, if the slaves would have stayed South and actually fought for the Confederate, we would probably still be slaves right now. I mean, let's just be honest. Hell, you got some people that just backwards and going to remain backwards until the end of time. But anyway, that's just a brief little summary for all that. So let's finish this video.
So that was clearly the first and primary goal. But the secondary goal, and they talked about this in the legislative history, was they wanted to integrate the children of immigrants. They knew America was a nation of immigrants, more were arriving, and they explicitly said, we want the children of immigrants to be equal citizens and equal Americans.
And you got to think about, we talked about like when the Asians or the Chinese, I believe, a lot of them worked worked on building these railroads in these mountains, clearing these mountains and stuff, and these forests for railroad tracks. It was like encampment. A lot of them were encampments and stuff. And so they was here, and they was like, well, shoot, they was forced to be here and work here. And so they was like, well, shoot, we should be citizens. And their children, what else, should be citizens, and they weren't trying to grant them citizenship. So thing is, it started with one thing. That's the thing about law. The law, if you ever notice, law a lot of times is not very detailed, not very specific on things. So you'll hear a lot where they say the law can be interpreted. It's how you interpret the law. And that's how you can have Roe v. Wade be passed 1 minute and then Roe v. Wade be abolished the next minute, because it's how you interpret the law, which is very dangerous, but that's how they do it around here.
Is birthright citizenship unique to the United States?
No, other countries have birthright citizenship. We're one of 33 with pure birthright citizenship rules. Other countries have some conditions or qualifications on it. So we're not alone. Canada and Mexico also have birthright citizenship.
If birthright citizenship were to be overturned, what would happen to the newborn children of undocumented parents?
Yeah, I mean, that's the really extraordinary point. And I should add, it's not just undocumented parents. The executive order applies to the children of lawful immigrants as well, who are here temporarily on student visas or work visas. So it would be a huge number of people that would overnight become undocumented immigrants. We could expect, hundreds of thousands of children born every year to be undocumented. They wouldn't be able to get social security numbers. They wouldn't be able to get passports. They wouldn't have any legal right to remain in the US, even if their parents did. So the results of this would be extraordinary. And let me add, it wouldn't just be immigrants who would be affected. A US citizen born in this country, whose parents and grandparents have been here, that person who has a baby, if that executive order were in place, would also have to prove their lineage to the satisfaction of the government before their child would be recognized as a citizen.
And that's just, I mean, sometimes it's just something you got to do, man. That's the thing about life. Time comes with change, and change comes with time. We know that. A lot of times we get comfortable with stuff, and what we don't see is something is boiling underneath, and eventually it's going to have to come to a head. And at first, it may seem everything is seem okay. It's simple. Dred Scott case, birthright citizenship, 14th Amendment. That's cool. Slaves. We'll deal with that. We understand what they're doing to them people. They are citizens because, first of all, it ain't like we're finna ship them all back over. It's gonna cost back to Africa. It's gonna cost too much money. And a lot of them weren't from Africa. A lot of them were already here. And somehow we enslaved them too. But we're not getting into that. But so we'll just say, hey, they're citizens, and let's leave it at that. Well, somehow, some reason, other, you know what I'm saying? You got the, like I say, Asians come over here or get brought over here or get detained here, and they put them to work like slaves. And they're here for years, and then they have children, and and it's like, but they don't get citizenship, or they deny their children citizenship. So they're like, well, hey, wait a minute, the 14th Amendment says that my children should be citizens because they were born here, they live here, we live here. We were forced to live here, and we're not going anywhere. So my children should be citizens. Okay, that's understood when the country was still in development. Now the country, citizen wise, population wise, is fine. So now there really needs to be an amendment, or the amendment needs to be like ratified and changed a little bit, because if you allow it to continue, you have overpopulation. You have a lot of people here who really shouldn't be here. Like now, you got a bunch of criminals that just open the floodgates and let them in. Now we're trying to get them out the country. You got people who ain't trying to work. Or hell, you even have people who are here who were trying to work, but they was not given jobs. I mean, you saw that on a lot of interviews, a lot of news stories, that people were trying to work. So the problem is you have nothing for them. So why in the heck would you handcuff your country like that? Financially, have people just because people cost money. Like I said before, you can make it personal. If you have a home and you allow family or somebody to come and live with you because they need your help, need your assistance, and then but they have no money, they're not putting in, that means your bills go up. That means the money that you make, you saving less or spending less on yourself, and you helping other people. And they're not doing, and the ROI does not make sense. There is no ROI. Well, now you can put that on a national level. It's the same thing. Eventually, you're gonna run out of money. Eventually, you're gonna get pissed off. Eventually, a change is gonna have to come, and you have to be the bad guy.
What else do you think people should know about this?
I think what I'd love people to take from this conversation now we're having about birthright citizenship is how essential it is to who America is, to our values. We were a nation founded on the idea that we were rejecting an hereditary monarchy. We were rejecting titles of nobility. We're not about lineage. We're about location. You're here, you're one of us. And America is better than most countries at integrating the children of immigrants. Europe really struggles with that, but we do a great job with that. And this executive order and the end of birthright citizenship would put at risk something that's really a superpower of the United States.
Amanda Frost, thank you.
Okay, so you heard the arguments. You're hearing like both sides. JD Vance, Donald Trump, and this professor here. They telling y'all both sides. So the question is, what do you think? I personally feel like that the 14th Amendment does need to be ratified, need to be changed a little bit, because you just cannot there has to be a process. It's not saying that the people can't come here. What they're trying to say is, well, we're talking about birthright citizenship. They're saying the process has to be changed. That's all. It just can't make it that simple, because, like I said, you have people who come here who intentionally, because they know how great and what the opportunities that they have in this country. If this country was that bad, and it is. I mean, it got these problems. I get it, but if it was that bad, then why would people from all over the world be trying to come here and have anchor babies, or try to find some way to become citizens and not even do it the right way? It's a process to do it, and folks get mad because they can't get in, or they feel some type of way, so they try to circumvent the law. And that's what criminals do. They try to find loopholes in the law to where it works out for them to be able to do what they need to do, what they want to do, no matter if it hurts other people or not, or the citizens who are already here. So yeah, I feel it. There needs to be a change. There needs to be a revamping, and not wipe it out, but just kind of tweak it a little bit. So I mean, sometimes you got to take drastic measures, get these people up out of here, and start over. Say, okay, look, y'all came in here illegal, get out the country. And then if you really need to seek asylum, do it the right way, and we'll holler at you. And we'll see if we can bring you in. You just can't go to any other country, land on there and say, okay, I want to become a citizen. I'm finna buy a house and just live here. And now I'm a citizen. They're gonna look at you like you crazy. Like, no, no. Or you just can't go to another country and just sleep on the street and say, I'm a citizen now. No, I think they're just gonna give you a job. It doesn't work that way. And it shouldn't work that way. But that's where we live in. But hey, it's time for a change, y'all. But anywho, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below, sharing with the world. Let's have intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple minutes out of your day, but it means the world to us here. If you would like to support us financially, you can give super thanks, super chat, super stickers. Go to the description box. There are links there you can click on. And don't forget to hit that shop button where we have great merch that I know that you will love. With that being said, I'll leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.